Imagine you wake up alone in a frozen world where the temperature has fallen to minus 50 degrees Celsius. Every freezing wind feels like thousands of tiny knives cutting through your skin. Your fingers slowly become numb, and even taking one more step feels impossible. There is no shelter, no food, and no sign that another human is still alive. The freezing wind keeps getting stronger with every passing minute. Your body is losing heat much faster than you can imagine. Then, through the blowing snow, you notice something enormous lying in the ice. It is the frozen body of a giant dinosaur that died thousands of years ago. Its chest has been torn open, leaving a hollow space just big enough to crawl inside. You realize this dead creature might be your only chance to survive the night. What would you do? The icy wind becomes even more violent, making it almost impossible to keep your eyes open. Every breath feels colder than the last, and your body starts shaking uncontrollably. You know that staying outside for much longer could cost you your life. You force yourself to walk toward the giant frozen dinosaur. Its massive body towers over you like a frozen mountain. Snow covers almost every part of it, except for the huge opening in its chest. You stop for a moment, wondering if it is really safe to go inside. The darkness within the dinosaur hides everything from your sight, but the freezing storm behind you leaves no other choice. You take a deep breath and crawl into the hollow chest. The wind suddenly disappears, and for the first time, you feel a small sense of hope. The air inside the dinosaur is cold, but it protects you from the deadly wind outside. Your eyes slowly adjust to the darkness surrounding you. The frozen bones form a strange shelter, unlike anything you have ever seen. You gather a few pieces of dry grass and broken branches trapped inside the hollow body. With shaking hands, you struggle to start a small fire. After several desperate attempts, a tiny flame finally comes to life. The warm light fills the hollow chest, and you begin to feel your frozen fingers again. For the first time since waking up, you believe you might actually survive this terrible night. Then you hear a deep cracking sound coming from somewhere outside. The cracking sound grows louder with every passing second. You quickly turn toward the entrance of the dinosaur's hollow chest. Something is moving through the heavy snow outside. You cannot see it clearly because the blizzard hides almost everything. Your small fire is the only source of warmth keeping you alive. If you leave the shelter, the freezing wind could kill you within minutes. If you stay inside, whatever is outside may eventually find you. A giant shadow slowly stops just a few steps away from the dinosaur. The sound of slow, heavy breathing fills the freezing air. You hold your breath and pray that it never looks inside. The shadow remains completely still outside the dinosaur. Your heart beats faster with every passing second. The fire begins to burn lower, and the warmth slowly starts to disappear. You carefully pick up a burning branch to light the dark entrance. The orange glow reaches the fresh footprints in the snow. They are far too large to belong to any human. Then you notice something even more terrifying. The footprints lead directly toward your shelter. A deep growl echoes through the frozen wilderness. The creature knows you are hiding inside. You only have a few seconds to decide what happens next. The growling suddenly stops, and the frozen forest becomes completely silent. A few seconds later, you hear slow footsteps circling around the dinosaur. The creature is searching for a way inside. Your fire is growing weaker, and the darkness begins to return. You quietly look around for anything that could be used as a weapon. A long broken dinosaur bone lies beside you. You grip it tightly, knowing it may be your only chance to survive. Then the creature pushes its head through the opening. Two glowing eyes lock onto yours. For a moment, neither of you moves. The creature slowly steps closer, never taking its eyes off you. Its deep breathing fills the hollow dinosaur like a cold warning. You can feel your hands shaking as you tighten your grip on the giant bone. The fire crackles softly, casting long shadows across the frozen ribs. For one terrifying moment, the creature stops moving completely. Then it suddenly lets out a deafening roar that shakes the entire shelter. Small pieces of ice begin falling from the dinosaur's frozen bones. You realize the shelter could collapse at any second. Running into the blizzard could freeze you to death. Staying inside could bury you alive beneath the collapsing bones. The frozen ribs begin to crack louder with every passing second. The creature roars again, shaking the entire dinosaur from the inside. Large chunks of ice crash onto the ground around you. Your small fire is almost completely extinguished. You know the shelter will not survive much longer. Then you notice a narrow opening at the back of the dinosaur. It might be your only way out. The blizzard outside is still raging with deadly force. Staying inside means certain death. Running into the freezing storm could be just as dangerous. You take one deep breath and prepare to make the biggest decision of your life. You burst out of the dinosaur just as the frozen shelter collapses behind you. The creature lets out a furious roar and begins chasing you through the snow. Your legs feel heavier with every step you take. The freezing wind steals every breath from your lungs. Then you spot a wide, frozen river stretching across the valley. The thick ice looks strong enough to cross, but one wrong step could send you into the freezing water below. The creature is getting closer with every passing second. You have no time to think anymore. You place your foot onto the frozen river and pray that the ice holds. The ice cracks beneath your feet with a sharp, terrifying sound. You freeze for a single second, afraid to take another step. The creature races onto the frozen river without slowing down. A long crack spreads across the ice between you and the monster. The freezing water begins to rise through the broken surface. You know that falling into the river would end your fight within minutes. Then you notice a steep cliff on the other side of the river. It could lead you to safety or trap you with no way back. The creature is only a few steps away now. The creature suddenly charges across the cracking ice without any fear. You sprint toward the rocky cliff with every bit of strength you have left. A deafening crack echoes across the frozen river. The ice finally gives way beneath the creature. It disappears into the freezing water with one final roar. You collapse onto the snow, struggling to catch your breath. The first rays of sunlight slowly rise above the frozen mountains. For the first time since waking up, you begin to feel hope instead of fear. You survived one of the coldest nights on Earth, but deep in the distance, you notice another giant shadow moving across the snow. The frozen wilderness becomes completely silent once again. You look back at the shattered river and realize how close death came. The freezing wind is finally beginning to calm down. You take one last look at the giant dinosaur that saved your life. Without its hollow body, you would never have survived the night. But then, you discover fresh footprints leading away from the river. They are not yours, and they are not the creature's either. Someone, or something, is still alive in this frozen world. This was only your first day of survival. Would you survive? Tell me in the comments.